It's Youth Sports Safety Month, and so we thought we'd reach out to Trevor Leopold, the athletic director for Shelton High School, talk a little bit about this and what the high school and the school district are doing to maintain student safety. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on here, and we have been looking over stopsportsinjuries.org as a website. There's a lot of other information if you just Google Youth Sports Safety Month. This is, I would assume, one of the first conversations you have at the start of each school year and each sports season. How are we going to make sure the kids are safe? What are some of the things that the high school has done, and how has it transformed over your time in athletics to focus more on safety?
That's a good question, especially for football is a big one, and concussions, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, one of the first things I do when I go to a school is make sure that we have AED, devices, making sure that we know all the coaches know where those are. All the coaches do have to go through testing before they're allowed to coach. And that's part of that is a sudden cardiac arrest. They have to do it through the WIAA and also the concussion protocol training. And they also have to be CPR and first aid certified.
I think back to the two-a-days, and you always have a thought in your head of summer football practice. It's hot, and the kids have their pads and things. That kind of stuff has really changed over the years.
Especially last year, we had the forest fires, and we had the air quality. So that was something that we really never had to deal with before. So each day we had to look at the air quality index, and if it was bad, we had to go inside for our summer conditioning. And the other thing was the heat index. And I'm from Wisconsin originally, and it's very humid out there in the summer, and we actually have certain circumstances where if it's too hot and humid, you can't go outside. Well, we actually had that this summer. It was very hot and humid, and I actually had to pull out my heat index and show the coaches that, hey, if it's above 90 degrees, water breaks every 15 minutes, make sure that the kids stay hydrated.
Absolutely.
And that they're taking care of themselves.
And has that been harder to implement perhaps than you thought it would be with, football players they're tough guys, and that folks expect a lot from the football team and things like that. But to say, all right, got to take a water break, time for a break. Do the kids understand what's going on there?
Yeah, they understand, and I think they appreciate it actually. Get a little more breaks here and there. But back when I played football, and I mean I'm getting kind of old now, but coaches, they really pushed us, and they thought water breaks was something that was earned, and it's not something that you should have. So between that and we're talking about concussions, back when I played, concussions weren't really, known what they were. You got your bell rung, and you're sitting there, and then coaches put you back out on the field. So the big thing with concussions, and that's a big myth where football is the big bad sport for concussions, but honestly, that's not the sport where concussions happen the most often.
What is it then?
It's soccer, actually.
Wow.
And the good thing about the concussions, and I have this talk with our parents every year at the beginning of the year, because we have a 5-day protocol that a kid has to go through if they get a concussion. And how it works is any coach or official can ask a kid to leave a game. So if a coach from another team sees one of our kids kind of struggling, he can signal the official and take them out. And you got to look at concussions now as it's like a sprained ankle. So if you get a sprained ankle, you're not going to go out and run on it.
Sure.
And how concussions work is it's kind of like a sprained ankle in your brain, and you just have to rest it. And if you have headaches or blurred vision, all that has to go away before you can start your 5-day protocol. So it's a lot better understood nowadays how concussions work and how to treat them. So it's not scary as it used to be.
Sure.
I think it's really interesting when you watch the old newsreel footage of old games and stuff. The football players just had these leather helmets, and they didn't have the face gear, they didn't have the protection they have now, and it's amazing how just in a couple generations we learned so much more about safety and in the helmets of today, for at the professional level.
And speaking of that, I just want to, our school board and our superintendent, he really wanted to make sure our football players were protected, and I just want to, give a shout out to them. He got us the top of the line Rydell's last year for our football team, just so our kids were safe. We just want to make sure that our kids are protected and they have the best gear they could have.
What is it about this new style of gear have I seen when we're covering the football games, they'll come off, they'll take their helmet off or they'll put it back on, and then they can kind of squeeze air into it too to make it even more secure. So there's a lot of technology involved.
And it's a proper fit. Make sure it's proper, because every kid's different, every head's different, and that's another thing that coaches get trained on, is how to properly fit a helmet. Back in the day, we just had the little pads.
Put it on, hit it on the head, and hit out. So you mentioned soccer. There are tons of sports, and they all have their inherent risks, of course, too. And what are some of the other ways that the school district is looking at the sports to keep the kids in the different sports?
I just want to, another thing, I want to mention is the zero period that we started. How great is it that we're doing this for our kids? It's known that weight training and training our kids prevents injuries.
Okay.
Especially for girls. They have a high rate of ACL tears. And if you train and you lift weights and you do your drills and you do plyometrics and you do all your agilities, the likelihood that you're going to get hurt playing in a game is so much less.
Really?
And the zero period, I want to give a shout out to the PE teachers that we have at our school and the coaches that come in there in the mornings at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we have 60 kids in there every morning.
That's great. Working
hard. And you can see it already for the kids that are in the spring sports and how much it's helped them as far as conditioning. And again, Dr. Apostle was nice enough to give us a little bit of money so we could get some stuff in the weight room, some more gear, and being able to train our kids properly so that they can prevent injuries on the field.
How would you instruct parents to talk to their kids about sports-related injuries, and if something happens even during recess, I don't know, and they sprain their ankle or they fall down or something, how would you encourage parents to talk to their kids about taking the proper safety steps after that, going to see the nurse perhaps, and not just go and rub some dirt on it and get back out there?
And we always tell kids there's a difference between being hurt and being injured.
Yeah.
And we always want to make sure if you're hurt, make sure you tell somebody, especially again with concussions. If you're not feeling good, sometimes you do the sideline test with a trainer, and it may come back that the kid's okay, but then after the game, they have a really bad headache, everything's blurry, and then tell somebody. Just don't go out and play.
And some of those telltale signs of a concussion are blurry, headaches,
nausea, unable to concentrate. There's a lot of telltale signs.
And so is that your brain hitting the side of your skull?
Yes.
That's what that is?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We were talking too before you came in. Cheerleading too is another sport that is people can get injured pretty tough with.
Oh yeah, those people that say cheerleading's not a sport, it's a sport.
Try it.
I just want to bring this up too while I'm here. Just the addition of the junior high sports.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're adding. I went to the last school board meeting, and we are going to add football to the junior high next year.
That's great.
We're also adding girls soccer, cheerleading, dance, bowling, and then we're going to expand our wrestling, basketball, volleyball program, and I think did I mention cross country too?
No, yeah.
And we're looking to join the Tri-County League, which is a lot of the schools that are to the south of us and to the west of us. And we're going to be adding sports to the junior high, and we're so excited for that opportunity for our kids. Especially for a community like Shelton, because we need something for our kids to do positive.
Yeah.
And giving them all these opportunities to participate in sports is just going to be tremendous for our district.
And that'd be a huge head start, too, in the conditioning to prepare yourself when you're on the field or when you're on the sidelines getting ready to perform.
Again, you have a kid that maybe it's the first time they have ever gone out for volleyball, and they don't even know how to pass, and they're a freshman in high school, or you're a freshman football player and you're walking in for the first time and you're getting a helmet on and you're supposed to hit somebody, and now you'll have at least 2 years of experience before you get to the high school level.
It's a long subject that people have been talking off and on. We get a lot of news from the professionals about injuries and how it's really trickled down into the school sports, and that's very exciting. That's very interesting news. So stopsportsinjuries.org is where we're getting some of our information here. You can Google more on that, and you're available to talk to parents about these kind of things. If anybody has any questions or concerns, I just call the school district.
Anytime, yep.
The high school. That's very exciting. We'll keep our eyes on the middle school sports programs up.